Whether you're just starting out in real estate investing or already making strides, the Investor Evolution podcast is tailored for you. Come along as we tackle these questions directly and deliver practical insights to empower your journey in the realm of real estate investing. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Investor Evolution podcast, and I have a special treat for you this week. Today, we are going to be interviewing Karianne Klomp. And I met her through our Network to Net Worth group, and she is a fantastic connector. And I am excited to introduce her to you today, to bring her on with us and explore this world of connecting. So Karianne, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. All right. So first of all, let's start with your journey. Tell me about your journey into real estate investing. Like, how did you get into this crazy world?
It is a crazy story. My husband became disabled after getting COVID. And so he owned a business. We were in Northern Utah, and we were at a point where he can't work. And so we had this big house we had just built. Custom dream home, all the things. And we knew that if this continued, we would have to sell. So I was talking to real estate agents, and we were having showings. We were getting offers. We were getting good offers, but every single time something would happen. And I said to my agent, I'm like, so what do we do? Oh, well, we can drop the price, or we can have another open house. And I thought, there has got to be another way. This is all you can do for sellers. It's not enough. So I started for my own home to start look at creative finance. What does that look like? I came across Pace Morby, and his community started talking to people in the free Facebook group. And I actually got on a call with Pace and talked to him about buying my house. But we had a lot of equity, and it was a very big, brand new house. But he just said, you know what? I think this is amazing, and I want you to be able to have the money you need to live and to move your family. Just drop it, get the money you need, and then join my community. So I did. We sold our house. We moved to Florida, which is better for my husband's symptoms. And I joined Subto and haven't looked back.
Awesome. And so when was that?
That was just this last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I love that you were like, there has to be a better way. Like there has to be something else. And you were able to find that different community and the different options, right? The creative, because not everything is textbook, right? Not everything we're going to go by the book, as clearly you found. So I love that you had that vision to just look for something else, right? To find the opportunity and the obstacle. I love that.
Well, things are only the norm because at one point they're not.
Yeah.
At one point they were the weird thing or the creative thing, and now they're the norm. Mm-hmm. There's always a way to fix something or do it in a different way. You just get there a different path.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you came into, I call it Pace Morby world. So when you came into Pace Morby world, were you looking to buy and hold, or how did you find your way into this connector space? How did that look?
I was looking to just figure it out. I didn't have any background in real estate. I had done marketing for our family business, my husband's business. I was a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. So I really had no idea. And I was like, we'll just figure it out. We'll listen to the Avatar series. We'll figure it out. And I have to tell you, the first time I heard about connectors, I was like, jerk. They're just making money. They don't do anything. They're making money off other people's deals. There's not a lot of info about what a connector is. There's, they make money on other people's deals. And then Pace gives just a brief example of like, I had a friend who needed money. I had a friend who had money. I put them together. I got 5%. And I was like, gee, like that sounds great, but I don't want to work with a connector ever. They sound terrible. They are just, using the system. So then there was a leader and newbie challenge, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll join that. I joined like 5 teams, and I'm a bit of an overachiever. I want to do all the things. I want to do them all well. So I thought all the team leaders were doing different things, had different strategies. So I thought this will be a great way to get on a team, and I'll find out what I like.
Mhm.
And what I discovered within about 2 weeks is all of those leaders were like, did you not know you're a connector? Just after being on calls with you and you have a person or a friend or a contact. Everywhere we go, every person we talk about, you're like, oh, I may know something or I may know someone. So I've always been this person. So I did not know that was a thing. Like, I'm a connector by nature. I'm a great matchmaker. But I am the person who's like, oh, you need a lawyer? My cousin's friend's neighbor has a brother and he does this kind of law. Let me just, let me get on this and I'll just help you out. So I didn't know that's what that was. So I started that. I joined the Network to Net Worth group and started looking more into that, and then really trying to delve into what it really means, because like I said, there's not a lot of information.
Right. And that's probably the biggest thing, because even when I came into it, I, because of the story that you hear and you're like, okay, so like I can just introduce people together. This is great, and insert myself in the deal. And
5%. I'm rich.
right, which is obviously not. So yeah, let's break down what the connector role really is, because it is so much and there's a lot of pieces and parts that go into it. So I maybe walk through kind of how you started, like how you come to a deal,
Like it.
and walk through what that looks like for us.
Okay. Well, I will preface by saying in everything, there's levels, right? Like there is a hairstylist who works at Great Clips for $9.99, and there's a hairstylist in New York or on Rodeo Drive, and they're making $1,000. There's levels. For me as a connector, I knew I met a few, and they were like, oh yeah, I'll just put you in this. I'm like, well, how do you know it's good? Oh, well, I just introduce you and then I make a fee. And I thought, yeah, I'm not doing that. I don't like that. So for me, I have borrowers that I'm cultivating to a very small core group. I don't work with people who are brand new, don't have any experience, or just don't have enough like collateral to meet my standards. And these are things that like I came up with where I knew it would be a slower start, but if I was going to do it, and if I'm going to continue to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Yes.
So I talked with borrowers, and if you put out there like, oh, I'm a PML, because I'm also a PML. I'm a PML, I'm a connector. Everyone comes out of the woodwork and they'll just text you like, hey, I need $60,000. Who are you?
Right.
Like, no. So I started creating relationships with borrowers that I had met. And then I want to talk to past PMLs. I want references. I make sure that if I'm doing a second position loan, either my money or my lender's, that it's cross collateralized, that there's just standards I have.
Yep.
Like I said, they're different for everyone. These are mine. So, but because of those, I wanted standards that would meet what I want as a PML myself. So then I take it to lenders. These are people, most of them are not in Subto and not in real estate, because I am the connector by nature. And so I'm just going out and I'm like, hey, I have a PML that I met at Sam's Club talking about fabric softener. And she's great, and she's in 2 different deals. And that's just how it happened. But because of that, I like to also educate my PMLs. I give them a PML packet of like, this is how it works. This is how it goes. Here's how you're secured. And then I will not just because my preference, I will not put anyone into a deal that I would not personally lend on myself, because it's something I'm not comfortable with. I'm definitely not going to send it to someone else, because I know how hard I work for my money. I'm not going to risk someone's retirement or someone 401k or anything else. I'm not putting that at risk, because I am, I'm like the spoke of the wheel where I'm putting these two people together. The reputation and the relationship that's going to be damaged is ours.
Yep.
It's not going to be the borrower and the lender. This falls on me. It is a lot of responsibility and something I take very seriously. So that's why I put a lot of thought and a lot of intention to who I lend to, and also to my lenders.
Mm-hmm.
There are some where the way that they want to use their money or the way that they're coming across their money just doesn't feel great to me. And the fact is, there's a lot of money out there. If you're marketing yourself, if you're good at showing that you're competent, know what you're doing, and you're willing to go out there and speak about it. So I don't need your money if you don't meet my same level of integrity, moral, values, principles. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of money out there. And so those are my standards.
So much to unpack there. That was so fantastic. So
there is a lot.
There's a lot in there, yeah. But one of the things, especially that last thing that you said, is like, as a connector, a couple of things. That's just who you are, and that's very natural. Every connector I have met is very similar, and they know like the 85 different people who you need to talk to about the things that you're going through, right? So we just naturally have those, oh, this is who you need to talk with. You need to meet with this person because they're doing deals there. We have all those little networks already lined out. But the other thing that you touched on, and what I love, is that you have your standards and you're going to attract what is for you. And it's okay to repel the things that don't align with you, because there is so much to go around, and that's okay. Those lenders will find their tribe too, right? And to really cultivate your tribe, because money can be very emotional, especially when it's invested in, deals are maybe not working out like we thought. And to have that core group of people that you have cultivated, that you have built that trust with, is imperative if that happens, right? So you want to make sure that you guys are all in alignment, and knowing that beforehand is really setting yourself up for success, and your lenders up for that trust that they have in you. Because you're right, like, it is going to be our reputation if things go sideways. I love that you have that kind of education piece too, like, as a PML, here's how this process works, here's what to expect. Here's what to expect from me. And I assume it's like, here's how I'm communicating with you and the borrowers. That lends a lot of comfort as well of, okay, like, I'm being taken care of in this deal. And it is really a concierge type service. And I love that you're offering that. That's incredible.
I think also it's important for people to, like, I customize what I do to my PMLs. I have a lot of PMLs because I'm in Florida. I have a lot of PMLs who are retirees. They want far more communication and far less choice.
Yeah.
So if I send out, like, I'm funding 7 different deals, I'm actually doing a separate newsletter for my retirees, because if I send them that, they're not in real estate. They're going to be overwhelmed and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be able to grow their money. They're not going to be able to grow their retirement. I won't be able to help them, and I won't be able to get my borrower funded. So I look at things where I'm like, these two, like, I have one named George. I met him at the gym. Sweetest guy, 76. And he's like, I had enough money, I thought, until the last 4 years, which there's so many people right now with the economy, with the way inflation is, their money's not going as far as it is.
Right.
In the past, it's just not. So I have him in a deal, and I said, here's these two. They're very similar. Here's the only differences. You can choose one, you can choose the other, you can choose both, you can choose neither. And then, how often do you want me to get back to you? Now, he loves it because I work out at the same gym. And so he sees me 3 to 4 times a week anyway. But he said, if you could just like text me or let me know every couple of weeks. I have other PMLs. I have one who runs an ICU in Washington. He does not want to be bothered. So he said, unless there is something like a delay or a problem, I don't really need to know. I don't want to sign more contracts. I don't care. I just want it to happen with the least amount of work. And so I have all that in my CRM so that I know what their preferences are. And I'm sure as I scale, that will have to change a bit. Like I won't be able to offer like just one-on-one coffee talk to every single person. But initially that is something I do because I want them to feel comfortable and then just know where their comfort level is at and what that looks like for them.
Yeah. And probably too, as they get to know you and as they see that level of intention there and they're more comfortable and know that the deals that you're bringing are vetted, and we'll talk about that, and are good, solid deals, that's probably their need for that communication is probably going to go down as well.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about, so when a borrower comes to you, and another thing that I love, and I think a lot of connectors are going to start off with all the borrowers and then really start honing down into, okay, here's my 5, 10, however many that is, but kind of a smaller set of consistent, stable borrowers who have a reputation that is, high quality, they pay their lenders back, and, you can kind of count on them, so to speak. So so I love that you're definitely kind of narrowing your field of borrowers, and that makes it a lot easier for you too, because you've already vetted them. But tell us a little bit about your process in vetting a borrower and vetting a deal.
I would say, first of all, the borrower is far more important than the deal, which is why I have a core group. The deal, if it makes sense, great. But I may have a deal brought to me, makes great sense, has great numbers, but the borrower is new. But, there's so many variables. But with my core group, I know how many deals they've done. I've talked to previous PMLs. I've sometimes talked to their partners. Half the time, I'm now friends with their spouse. Like, it's just,
because you're the connector.
Well, almost every like borrower or team that I work with, they're like, you should get on a call with my wife. Yeah, let's do that. So that's just who I am. But I like to make sure that these people, even if the deal does go south, I know their level of integrity. I also know that they're doing consistent things. So if the deal doesn't work out as well as it could, they have ways to make it right.
Right.
And that's where that personal relationship comes in, because also like my borrowers, they're awesome people. They're people where I'm like, let's do this. Let's go on vacation. Let's hang out. And that's another huge piece for me. I have relationships with my lenders. I have relationships with my borrowers. And, if they're lucky, then we can all go on vacation together. But at the moment, I'm able to vet them for their integrity and for their background as much as the deal. So when they bring me a deal, it's already underwritten. And at the first, though, like they bring me a deal, I always do, because we own pharmacies. When you go to a pharmacy, and you have never noticed this, but you will notice it now, because I'm going to point it out, you have 2 techs and a pharmacist. They will count out 30 pills and they'll slide it. The next person, same bottle, same everything, they count it again with a counter to make sure it's like precise. Then they slide it to the third person. He does the exact same thing. So 3 sets of eyes, which is why you never get home and be like, that's weird. I have 32 and I was supposed to have 30. The more sets of eyes you have on it, the less chance for human error. Right. So I always overlook the borrower's underwriting. I have someone on my team look it over. And then I always just send it to I have 3 or 4 friends that are amazing underwriters where I'm like, I know everything looks good. And I like what they've sent me before. Will you just do me a favor? And at that point, I know that if it's gone through two of us, it's probably good. But I've been married to the pharmacy guy for 20 years.
Right.
I've been married to that for 20 years. So that's just what we do. That's just part of that's our industry standard.
I love it.
So I do that. And then at that point, if the deal passes our underwriting, and there are a lot that don't, until I got my core group of borrowers, I was maybe 1 out of every 20, either because the deal wasn't good or the borrower, not that they weren't good, but they would be new. They didn't have any experience. But that gave me the awesome opportunity to be like, look, I love this deal. This is great. And I'm excited that it's your first deal. You've never fixed and flipped. Oh, I know, but I'm a fix-it guy. My brothers are going to help me. That's so cute. I love that for you and your brothers. I don't love it for me or my lenders. So here's what I need you to do. And then I'll tell them exactly what I need to be able to fund their deal in the future. So I met one guy, he's in the Air Force, and he said that. He's like, me and my brothers, we're fix-it guys, and we're going to do the flip. And I definitely just said, that's so cute. Because it is. I love that. That sounds great for you and your brothers. You're going to bond and have a good time. Doesn't lend a lot of credibility or comfort to me giving you money. So I said, here, I'm going to look it up. You're new, so I'll look it up. Who's your local leader? Go to him. Ask him who's flipping in your area. Team up with him. Then come back to me, borrow on his credibility, borrow on his reputation, and he'll probably also have some cross collateral to make me feel safe in the deal. So by doing that, not only have I saved a lot of, just mitigated risk for my PMLs, I've mitigated risk for them. Because at the end of the day, first position is the least risky, then second, but the most risky position to be in is the borrower. Because the buck stops with you. You are the last line. So I'm saving everyone. I don't think he felt like that at the very beginning. But I've talked with him since. He's in the middle of his first flip. He's thrilled. And I'm like, cool, do a couple more like that. Come back.
Yeah.
So that's how I just kind of, that's just basically my process that I'm just designing and constantly evolving.
I love it. Well, and what I like about that is you're providing value to both sides, right? You're protecting your lenders and protecting that borrower, possibly from themselves because they don't know what they don't know, right? And I think it goes to the fact that we all come in and we're like, we've got to do something. We've paid this money, we've got to do something, girl. I did that.
I need to take action.
Yeah. And
we fell forward.
And, and we see people who come in and they're like, I did 85 deals in 2 days. And, and so it leads to that FOMO of like, oh, I'm not doing enough. But I do want everyone to take that step back and it's okay to learn first, to know exactly where you're going before, especially you're lending thousands, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars. You need to make sure it's super safe. And you don't know what you don't know when you first come into it. And so having a connector who is helping kind of keep their eye out for you and really almost kind of protecting you from all those bad deals that are going to come your way is really important, One of the things I wanted to go back to is, how do you keep this is more of maybe a strategy type question, but how do you keep your lenders organized? You mentioned a CRM, so that's possibly, you can go into that a little bit, but yeah, how are you making sure that you're keeping those relationships moving forward and connecting with the people that you've already connected with and continuing to build those relationships moving forward?
So what I like to do is anyone that has shown interest or a soft commitment to be a PML. So they're like, I have this much money, but I don't have anything for them at the moment or anything that fits their criteria. I put them in my CRM, and then I will, even if they're not in a deal, I talk to them or reach out to them once a quarter, because something's going to come along at some point, and I don't want it to be like, hey, remember me? I spoke to you 2 years ago. What's up? Because I would be livid if someone did that to me. I would click. Like, you're a stranger. You don't care. So I do that. I have them in my CRM to where if I have something and I type extensive notes. I have keywords like where they're from, what they do, how many kids. Because once again, I'm forming relationships with these people. Also, luckily for me, I have a crazy memory. So if you tell me, like, Karianne, chocolate covered cinnamon bears are my jam, next time I see you, I will be like, those are for you, and I will remember. I just do. I won't remember important things, but I will remember stupid things like your favorite candy. So I have it all. And then with my lenders, I'll put like every 2 weeks. George, every 2 weeks. Or, Dr. Michael, every never, unless there's a problem. But even then, I will reach out once a quarter and be like, things are on track. Everything's going well. Just thought you should know, because you're in an $85,000 deal. You should know. And I know you say you don't want to, but I would rather let you know. And just because I am escorting you through this deal. Like someone said, you're like a Sherpa, which I don't love. It's not a cute title, but
that's a good title. It's very
Sherpa.
It's very supportive and very mystic. I don't know. I like it.
I just feel like I should be in Kathmandu with like a wool sort of a situation. And I don't like that. And like that picture in my head's not fun. I was talking with someone who's also in Subto and she does things very much the way I do. And we were talking about, we're brainstorming because apparently we have too much time on our hands. But she was like, we're like liaison. So I was thinking of that, and I'm like, ooh, what's a word that starts with L that goes with liaisons? And then I realized that when you put a money word like lucrative, which is the word we came up with, and you put that with liaisons, it makes you sound like a madam. Tell me it doesn't.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Because the verb of liaison is not family friendly. So I'm like, I cannot go out there and be like, we're going to coin ourselves as like lucrative liaison. That's a very murky, like, what do you offer?
That could go south quickly.
Oh, yeah, where it's like, this is not at all what I thought I was buying. So, but, the definition of a liaison is someone who goes with it through you. Or like you said, like a concierge where here's what I have. Let me show you. Let me take you. Let me guide you. So maybe Sherpa does fit. It's just not as cute, but it's also not brothel oriented. You gotta take what you get. I mean, I'm open to suggestions is what I'm saying. Anyone can write in and give me suggestions, but liaisons might have to be off the table.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to see what else we can come up with.
We're gonna workshop that.
White glove service. That's kind of overused, but so let's talk about borrowers. So you've talked how you kind of keep your lenders informed. Borrowers can be a little more, I don't know, because they're doing the work. They're busy. They've got all that going. So how do you keep in communication with them in order to be able to provide that information to your lenders?
I set up so I have it very clearly. Like, I want weekly, at least twice a month, but usually weekly. Even if my lenders don't want it, I just want to know so I can keep tabs.
Yeah.
And then in my CRM, it has it so that when it's close to the end, it'll send them an email that says like, hey, this is coming up in a month. And then, hey, it's in 2 weeks. And then it's in 1 week, so that they're not caught off guard. But that's also something I've built into my CRM to be automated so that I don't have to do that. But I set those expectations clearly at the beginning. So, I mean, because I've created relationships with them, they know what they're getting into, and that's their own fault. Where it's like, we're probably honestly with my borrowers, we're talking every couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah.
Because we're in a bunch of things together, because we're friends, because we like hanging out. We have genuine relationships. And so I set those expectations clearly.
Good.
I don't want to bother them. But when you know, that's the thing about communication and clear expectation. If you set those expectations at the beginning, it's never going to be seen as a bother. It's never going to be seen as interrupting because I told you this is what we wanted to do. You agreed to it.
Mhm.
So if anything, they feel bad when they're like, oh, shoot, I was supposed to email you a couple days ago. I forgot. Oh, yeah, me too. It's automated. Sorry. I forgot about it too. Did you not? Because it's one of those extras.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have that relationship, because they know what I ask for and what my standards are, they signed on for it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think everyone in the world needs to be held more accountable. I mean, we're moms.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hold your child accountable, they're going to grow up to be a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I have to. So I can say that. You need to hold them accountable. I need to be held accountable for things that I say I'm going to do just to make sure I do them, which in turn makes me a better person.
Absolutely.
So, and also builds trust. If they know that at the end of the day, oh, I'm going to have to send Karianne an email this week. I haven't gotten this done. They're going to go in there and get it done because they don't want to have to send me an email being like, so I went out and played Frisbee for 6 hours and I didn't actually finish the painting. We're going to have a talk.
Right.
But they do it because they know they're being held accountable.
Right. Well, and like you said, setting those clear expectations up front helps so that if we're, and we know like no real estate transaction from start to end ever goes 100% perfectly. There's always something that pops up. And so setting those expectations clearly in the beginning makes it easier for that communication when things aren't going as anticipated, makes that communication easier. Can you tell me, like, is there a time where you've had to have those tough conversations because, maybe funds weren't coming back when we thought they were, and how did you navigate that situation?
Honestly, what I've discovered as a PML and as someone who has PMLs in deals, as long as the communication is open and they know what's happening, it's never as bad as no communication.
Yeah.
No communication is scary because then your mind starts going and you're like, oh my gosh, it burnt to the ground or he took my money. I can't tell you how many people have been like, what if they just take my money and run? I'm like, okay, it's not the 1980s and we're not in like Cuba. We're fine. And I have protections and securities in place. We're good. But I've had one where it's like, this was supposed to come back. It has not. My attorney's saying this. It's happening this week. That's fine. Because they let me know. It's when I have an expectation and they've said, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks, Fine. 2 weeks comes and I hear nothing. That's when there has to be a conversation. I just will state clearly, like, well, we have late fees. And as long as everyone is being paid their agreed upon late fees, then this is fine. But you also have to you don't want the late fees to be so much that they're just like, I'm never going to get out of it. And then they ghost you. And then, like, I don't know, I might have to go like bounty hunter. I've never had to do that. I mean,
I feel
that's
like you would probably be amazing at it. So I heard that.
I'm like this little 4'11" redhead. I'm going to bounty hunter you. Dog the bounty hunter. But as long as you know, that's the thing. And so just being able to then clearly communicate, that's really all it is. And with all of my deals, whether they're first or second position, there's collateral and there's cross collateral. So your fees need to be enough not to motivate them, but not so much where they're going to get overwhelmed and just shut down.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all doing our best. We're all trying to make it work. They don't want to default. I don't want to foreclose.
Right.
I don't want to take away their property. Absolutely not. Like, what am I going to do with a property in Alabama? I don't want that.
Right.
I mean, maybe I do, but usually I don't. I don't want the hassle. That's not what I signed up for.
Right.
Which is why you have all those securities in place. And so at the end of the day, it's really just keeping that communication open. And then because of the clear expectation, there's not a surprise where it's like, you're going to do what? They knew. Now, sometimes they may choose not to remember, or they're like, I don't remember reading that. Well, you signed contract. And because I use 4 to 5 different pieces of documentation, there's no way you missed it.
Right.
So we all know where we are. We all know the terms. We all know the percentages. You may not like it when things go south, but it still is what it is. And that's what we all signed.
Yeah. And again, that's where it comes back to when you have those regular borrowers, they know your system, they know your structure, they know what they need to get a deal for in order for it to work in those situations. So that makes the whole process so much smoother. Yeah. So I love that you have kind of cultivated that huge community of borrowers and lenders. It's fantastic. Now, for a newbie coming in who's like, I am that person. Like, I can see all those connections. I can connect all those dots in my head. What tips would you have for that new investor who's like, I think I do want to be a connector. I think that's like my superpower. What tips and strategies do you have for them?
First of all, you just have to meet people. Like, when Pace is like, oh, go out and make 50 friends. I talked to 400 people in the first 3.5, 4 months. I did 20-minute calls for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then from that, I'm able to be like, okay, this person has this. This person needs this. Because you can't connect anything if you don't have the network.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to build that. And that does take time. But it's something that you can build up. And then you also start to find those people where, oh, okay, I can't see partnering with them, but I could do this kind of a transaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, everyone that I am partnered with or that I'm working with, it all started with a Zoom or at a meetup. It all started with connecting with them and just getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then you meet them in person at Squad Up and you're like, I'm my best friend. But just to be able to just build the network.
Yeah.
So making those connections and then, take notes. If you're doing that, then take notes because in 7 months, someone's going to say, I'm looking for someone who's investing in RV parks in Montana or Idaho. And right now, if you said you could throw, not anything super random, but you could say, I need someone doing this in this area, and I could give you 2 to 3 resources.
Yep. I have a name for that. What you just mentioned, I have a name in my head.
Right? I have 3.
Yep.
Because someone asked me the other day, hey, I need this. Or someone wants to manage an RV park. Do you know anyone who's investing in these 4 states? I'm like, I know 5 people who are investing in those 5 states. Let me reach out to them.
Yep. Yeah.
But you can't do that if you're not making the connection. So get out there, make the connection, take note. And also, it sounds like cold or weird. I categorize them where it's like, these are wholesalers. These are buyers. These are and then what markets they're not only living in, what markets they're buying in or doing deals in.
Yeah.
Because most of us are not just doing deals where we live.
Right.
And so I kind of put them into a graph that, yes, I draw a graph. I don't Excel it. I draw it.
Do you?
I have a ruler.
I love it.
I am that weirdo. Slightly OCD. I'm that weirdo. But I want to see where it's like, this matches up here. This matches up here. I don't know. I like doing it. I have colored pencils.
You're
and
like
tape,
the beautiful
so
mind. Is your wall like?
that would be amazing. Can you imagine? That's going to be my Zoom background. It's just like, I'm at the center. Karianne. And then all the strings and all the dots. But that's kind of the way I do it, where it's like, and then keywords. So I can put those into my CRM. And I learned this, or some guy, I don't know, saw it on Instagram, the Instagram magic. And he said, if you, put this into there's an app and I can't remember the name and I don't have it yet. He's like, you can put these contacts into it with keywords. So he was saying, like, if the Spurs are playing, I can put Spurs and it'll bring up like 7 contacts of people who are fans of them. And then I'll text them like, hey, did you catch the game last night? Saw the Spurs won. Changed my world. Because I can't remember things like that. Like, I don't know what team you like. I won't remember that. I'll remember random things like candy, but I won't remember what team you like.
That's so important, especially if you bring them with candy, right? But but it goes back to that's a way to help cultivate those relationships, right? Because, when we feel like someone remembers something that we told them, like we know that we're important to them and we feel like, okay, like you care. And so what if you had to write it in your CRM or, you had to write it down? Like none of us are superhuman and we need those reminders. But when you can get on a call and then, talk about their chocolate covered cinnamon gummy bears or whatever you said earlier, then they're like, oh, she really remembered that I told her that. Like, that's really cool.
And I usually do, but it's like before our call, I'll look up in my CRM or in my note. And then I'm like, oh, yeah. I know I know who this is. I remember her. And, at the end of the day, then you get to the point where you don't need that because you're constantly funneling. And so it's like, these are my PMLs that are constantly revolving. Or these are my PMLs. Like I have one who just keeps sending me more people.
Nice.
Where he's like, he did a deal with me and he came in as a borrower. He's a potential borrower. And then I was telling him about a deal I was funding just because we're buddies.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I do that. Can I share this with some of my friends? Then I have 3 other PMLs who they were just like, hey, I talked to so-and-so. He suggested I call you. What do you have? 2 of them are now in a deal.
Fantastic.
And like they were at their brother's house in another state and his neighbor came over and then they were talking about this and what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this. And so then it just grows, but you have to start with the network, getting out there and also listen. Don't go into a call being like, I want to connect them with someone.
Yeah.
Because it'll come across as inauthentic.
Exactly.
I'm really just like, I get on every call thinking this could be my next partner. This could be my new best friend. My husband teases me because he's like, you make 10 new best friends a week.
Right.
But I do. So I don't feel bad about that. I'm not going to apologize. But get on there with the intent to listen and the intent to be like, how can I help them? How can I create a relationship? And just listen to what they have to say. No one cares more. Like people just want to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And it may be someone you connect with, 6 months ago that now you're finally doing a deal with them, but you've been cultivating that relationship along the way. And that's going to be so much more powerful and joyful for you as well to like be finally working with them because you've been connecting and all of that. And it'll be so much more powerful and a greater experience than just being like, hey, do you got money? Hey, I got a deal, and which feels slimy and skeezy and no one wants to feel like that.
Well, that's why the connector didn't resonate with me because that's how there just wasn't enough information to know that what it was. And then I also discovered where it's like any of these avatars for new people and for, all of us looking to grow, any of these avatars can be what you make it. Like the connector is an avatar that is especially moldable and it is what you make it.
Mm-hmm.
There are other connectors who do it very different and in ways where I'm like, I would never do it that way, but that's their way.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it their way. And if they're having success their way, fine. That's just not my way.
Yeah.
There's closers who have different ways of speaking or different tactics they use to get a sale. Make it your own. Do it your way.
Yeah. I love that. And that's the perfect advice, right? Like just come into it in your full authentic self, be you, because that's what's going to attract people to you and figure out your process. And it may take a little bit of time. Like you have an incredible process. I'm still trying to figure mine out and it's all good. And being able to look at the people who are doing what you want to do and getting advice from them and learning from them is going to help you grow. And you're going to take little pieces from this connector and little pieces from that connector, and you're going to create your process that's going to be beautiful and perfect for you, right?
100%.
Yeah. So as far as your vision, your trajectory, how do you see, right? We're the investor evolution. So how do you see yourself evolving over the next several years? Is there something that you want to grow into?
I would say, with all the changes in the past year, going from full-time mom to this, with a lot of prayer and a lot of faith. So whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, I believe in God. And I would say my trajectory is such that I can't dream that big because I don't see the potential that my Lord sees in me.
Hmm.
So every time I have a new level, I think, I don't know how I got here.
Hmm.
And we were talking beforehand, I have new opportunities and they blow my mind.
Hmm.
I can't think that big. But if I had to, what I would really love to do, and it's something I'm in process of, so I can say it, what I would really love to do is I would love to speak on stages about overcoming trials and how we can take negative setbacks and surprises that may change our life and turn it into something amazing, into an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to become. That's been my life the past
Mhm.
4 years. My husband's now been sick and disabled with it's a neurological brainstem balance thing that they don't know if he'll ever get better.
Yeah.
This has flipped my life upside down. And a year ago, I was stuck.
Hmm.
And so to be at a place now that I am and seeing all the growth that's happened, I would love to be able to take all that because it is the harder road.
Yeah.
It is the harder path to say, you know what? I'm going to bet on me. I may not be the smartest. I may not be like the youngest, the coolest, the prettiest, any of these things, but I will outwork. I will out hustle
Mm-hmm.
anyone out there because I have 6 kids and a husband who need me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have your why and you can grow from that and become from that and be able to maybe just maybe see a little bit of that potential that our Savior sees in us
Mm-hmm.
without all the garbage that we have in the world, that's when we become something really amazing. And so I'd love to coach and speak on stages for that. And then I'm helping grow. There's a women's trailblazers group that's for women in real estate where we all get together. We have Zooms. We are doing a retreat this fall sometime, probably in Puerto Rico because I'm planning it because I want to choose where we go.
I love it.
And but we're gonna have regional meetups and dinners and things, and we're supporting each other. But, like, I wanna help other women in this space. I want other women who, even though I'm not technically like, I'm not a single mom, in many ways, I have to be because my husband isn't able to do that for me right now. And I hope and I have faith that someday he will be, but for now, this is on me. So if I can help other moms who are struggling with not just, like, imposter syndrome, but, like, what can I bring?
Yeah.
I never would have thought a year ago that I would be in this place, and I'm looking at buying a couple of hotels. That wasn't on my plans even 6 months ago. That was never even a thought.
Yeah.
But then through creating my network, I found someone who's like, "I would love that too, and I have this experience. Oh, I actually have a property in Puerto Rico I wanna get rid of in a year. Okay, looks like we might buy a hotel."
Nice.
But these things happen because of the network, because, the energy I put out and just where it's like, this is what I want, this is what I need,
Mhm.
this is what I have faith can happen. So those are a couple things I really want to do, but I want to grow the women's group. I want to have more than only 31% of investors are women. I want that to be high. And so if I can do that and I can help women financially, emotionally, spiritually, in any of those ways, that's what I'm looking to do.
I love it. Oh, girl, I got goosebumps. Have you, I don't know, do you ever listen to Ed Milet?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Do I DM Ed Milet and I'm just like, hey, if you're hanging out at your house in Florida, I could drive over.
I love it.
I comment, he's repinned a couple of my comments
Nice.
on his page, and I'm just like, and every time he does, I do a little dance, and I'm like, honey, I'm gonna meet Ed Milet. I'm doing the whole like, I don't manifest, like I pray and manifest, but I'm like, I'm gonna do all the things. Like I need to meet Ed Milet.
Yeah.
I love him. I love him.
Me too, girl. I love that. One of his podcasts with Rory Vaden, it was from a couple of years ago. And Rory Vaden, one of the things he said is you're most powerfully positioned to help the person that you once were. And I love that because, you know, you've come through this journey and, you know, for everything that you've learned, you've grown through, to be able to reach back and help those who are in that same position and to help them through that is so powerful. And, you know, probably part of God's purpose for you in this world.
Right.
And I love that you can, you know, and I'm sure it's been a journey, right? To be able to take this obstacle and turn it into that opportunity that you are able to help others. And I love that. It makes my heart so happy for you. Why I chose the name for this podcast, right, is this investor evolution. We come in thinking we're going to do one thing. And as you develop that network and as you learn and as you grow, your mind does expand into these different opportunities. You know, you said you can't see it bigger, but girl, you're already seeing it bigger. You're looking at hotels and, you know, really expanding what is possible for you. And, you know, I love that process. And we're all in that same process. And it's our timing is going to be what it is. And like you said, even just that like 6 months ago, like that wasn't even on your radar. And I love being able to look back and see the growth that people have in such a short amount of time. And I just want to encourage people that take your time, because you're going to, you know, you may feel like you talked about this on Jesse's, on the Network to Net Worth group this week. You know, you're in that dip, you're in that sludge of like, oh, it's tough, but man, it's going to catapult you. And like, you're in that uphill swing. And I'm so excited to watch your journey, to see you grow and expand and evolve into this amazing woman, this amazing investor, and to see what God has in store for you. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to be along on this journey with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have a gazillion more things that we need to talk about, but we will have to save this for another episode. We will definitely bring you back because this has been so fantastic and I have learned so much. I'm like over here, like I'm glad this is recorded because I'm going to go back and take notes from things and start pulling them into my business as well. So thank you so much for dropping all this knowledge and all this gold through this time. Tell us where we can find you. So how can we follow you? How can we find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Karianne G. Klomp. I don't know why my maiden thing has to be in there, but Karianne Klomp, I'm the only one on there. And Instagram, Facebook, and those are all linked to my website. So
beautiful. Okay.
You can go there to look at deals I'm funding. You can go there to read reviews with people who have lent with me, to see my private money lending packet and credibility and resources, tips, all the things I'm building into it.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. That's an incredible resource. So make sure you guys go check her out. And we will bring Karianne back for another round of talks on, we're going to do capital raising next time. So I'm excited about that one. So All right, guys, until next time, Karianne, thank you so much. This has been gold. So fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank